let's say that you were blind and things have the ability to speak, so that a chair would come to you and say, I am chair. Food would come to you and say, I am food. A pen would come to you and say, I am a pen. And water would come to you and say, I am water. At first glance, you might not need these things, but the moment you become tired of standing up, you remember the one who said, I'm chair, and you say, chair, come here, and then you sit. And when you are thirsty, you remember the water, and you say, water, come here, and you drink, and then quench your thirst. Now imagine if the beginning would also come to you and say to you, I am the beginning. What will you have to do with that information? Wouldn't it also mean that you have to use the beginning to begin, just as you use all these other things to do what they are? The chair for sitting, the water for the thirst, and the beginning for the beginning. Most of us, we make the mistake where we begin without calling the beginning, without working with the beginning. This is very doable because we see that God himself in the beginning created the world together with the beginning. As it is written in the book of John, that nothing was made that was made without him. And we know that he is the beginning and the end, as he said it in the book of Revelation. He is the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last. So at the beginning of everything should be Jesus, and at the end of everything should be Jesus. As it was in the beginning when the world was created, Jesus was there. At the end, when the world is going to be destroyed, Jesus is going to come and judge the world, because he is the beginning and the end. It does not only refer to the world, but also to everything that we do in our lives. At the beginning of our marriage should be Jesus. At the beginning of our businesses should be Jesus. At the beginning of our relationships should be Jesus. At the beginning of our day should be Jesus. At the beginning of our projects should be Jesus. At the beginning of everything in our lives should be Jesus. And so should also be the end of everything. The end of the day should be Jesus. The end of a project should be Jesus. But we oftentimes make a mistake to neglect calling the beginning at the beginning and calling the end at the end. And this causes an instability or a problem in whatever we will be doing. This is why when the Pharisees went to Jesus and they asked him that should we give a certificate of divorce as what is written by the law of Moses, and Jesus said to them, it is because of the hardness of your heart that Moses allowed you to give a certificate of divorce. But how should you do marriage? And he gave us a good example, and he said we should do marriage as God intended it at the beginning, that the two shall become one flesh and they shall not be separated. So in this we get an understanding that whatever we have to do, we should do it as it was done by God in the beginning, for its success and its goodness to be made manifest in our lives. And from that principle, therefore, we learn that in the beginning, God created everything with Jesus, who is the Alpha and the Omega. So in the same way, everything that we do, we need to do it with the Alpha and the Omega. We need to do it with the first and the last, and we need to do it with Jesus Christ, because we know that nothing was made that was made without him. In the same manner, nothing can be done that can be done without him. And no tree, no human can bear fruit without him. So, whenever we are doing our things, let us not neglect him. Whether it's washing plates, whether it's sleeping, whether it's eating, whether it's walking, whether it's a journey, before and after, let us always call the Alpha and the Omega.